Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There it is, so you don't miss any of our football content this season. It has been, if I might say, fantastic. All right, let's segue to Houston beats Buffalo 23-20. And I want to talk specifically the Bills' second straight loss about some game management. So for those who didn't watch, the game was tied 20-20. There was 40 seconds left. The Bills were deep in their own territory at the 3-yard line. Houston had all their timeouts. So what you'd want to do is run the ball in the line, run it into the line, run it into the line, force the Texans to use all their timeouts, punt it away, and they'd have, 16 seconds.
Yeah.
Instead, the Bills threw the ball 3 times, giving Houston just enough time to get it and kick a field goal and win. So this stuff was... And I don't like to crush coaches, John, on game management. Andy Reid took heat for years. I don't know your injuries. I don't know your game plan. But there are things I think that it's fair to criticize coaching. I think listen, the Cowboys, 17 seconds, they're running a quarterback draw. It's like, that's not the play. Yeah. Especially when you watch Kirk Cousins in Atlanta meticulously line up this past Thursday to win. Like, that's how a veteran team does it and a veteran quarterback. But I watched that game management by the Bills as they lose to the Texans. And it's Buffalo's fine. This is a good organization. They're going to win this division. New England's awful. The Jets aren't very good. And Miami's quarterback play is, suboptimal. But I was sitting there thinking, and I like McDermott, but I'm sitting there thinking, that one's on McDermott. And Josh Allen won't say it. But do you believe against a John Harbaugh, a Jim Harbaugh, a DeMeco Ryans, an Andy Reid, in maybe a year, a Sean Payton, do you trust Sean McDermott?
Well, I picked this team to, compete for the Super Bowl. I liked him more than most people that thought they were going to take a step back. And that was pretty embarrassing because CJ Stroud had a pick and a fumble in the fourth quarter. Like, they were trying to give you the game. And in that situation, at this point in time, how can you? Like, I can't trust the Bills. And I've been one of Josh Allen's biggest fans, but it's hard to say he's, based on today, you couldn't say he's better than Lamar. That's ridiculous. It was one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. He was atrocious today. So part of it to me, and this is always the pushback from the anti-analytical number people of like, are we sure in this situation? Like, I get the overall picture, but it's like you're pinned. Your quarterback, I think at the time, was like 9 for 27, which, again, I don't remember him playing such a bad game. Yeah. And to throw it 3 times when your quarterback's playing poorly, to me, if he's rolling, and that's the pushback I think that Zach Taylor's going to get, it's like your guy is humming. So your decisions have to be dictated off what's going on in the game.
Peyton Manning has talked about this with analytics before. He said there are times to go for 2, but if you're squeezing out 2 yards a run and they have a pass rush, it can't just be, well, the numbers say. It's like, what's happening in the game? 100%. Josh wasn't playing well in the game on the road.
I can't believe they didn't just run the ball 3 times. They basically burned off 12 seconds. And even for the Houston Texans, it was still pretty tight. They only got a 59-yard field goal off. It's not like, well, they ended up kicking a 20-yard chip shot. So that loss, given that CJ threw the pick and had the fumble down the stretch, after you had, again, back-to-back weeks, started really slow, looked terrible. It looked at one point in time, if Houston was going to play well, are they going to lose 40-10 in this game?
Okay, so they tried a trick play. Was it last week?
It was against the Ravens, yeah. It was the Ravens.
All right. And McDermott clearly didn't call it. He said, I'm going to have to talk to our guys
Brady
about that, Joe Brady. So my question is this Brady or McDermott? I would guess it's Brady.
Well, to me though, Colin, he's the head coach. So at any moment he can tell him, he's not calling the plays. And I would guess, like a lot of defensive coaches, he doesn't know the details of every single play in the offensive playbook, but he easily can get on the headset and go, Joe, run the ball here. Yeah. And unless Joe wants to be a malcontent and get fired the next day, he said, yes, coach. That's usually how it works. And I think that is a mistake that clearly he didn't say it. And he let his offensive coordinator, who I think's done a pretty good job since he's taken over, not really debatable, That is one that's an embarrassing moment. When your quarterback's playing like he was playing and your offense was playing like it was playing, they were running the ball well. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you bust like a 15, 20-yard run and then maybe you take a shot. But you got to take a deep breath. You got to force them to take timeouts. And again, they kicked a 59-yard field goal. So the time would not have been on their side. You would have been in overtime. Now there's no guarantee you go to overtime. Shit, anything could happen. But that is it's hard for me to take the Bills. I was high on them after 3 weeks, but these last 2 weeks, especially today, it's like, I
Well,
don't know, man. I don't know.
it's the drip, drip, drip. There's the
And the Texans had a bunch of injuries today too. It's not like they were fully strength.
No, it's just one of those things where when you see things that build up over time, it's the bad call against the Ravens, though I don't think their defense was stopping them anyway. But when you do these standalone games, you're going to be judged more harshly. So that today it was not a standalone game. So you have to be egregiously, outrageously wrong for us to talk about it and people to talk about it. But I can't remember the last time I watched a head coach in the NFL not just make an it wasn't a mistake. It was a belief. It was no, we're going to do it on first, on second, on third. It's like, Sean, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
You know, I think the thing, if you're a Bills fan, which it would be hard to sleep, is like our organization is so well run. We do a really, really good job of like character guys, talented guys. We got rid of Diggs. It looks like we drafted well. Keon Coleman had a big touch. Like, we know what we're doing. Like but what has been their downfall over the last couple of years? Specific coaching things. Like, that's really been the difference of them. Who knows? You know, Super Bowl is a coin flip game usually, but like being in a Super Bowl and getting run in the second round up whatever with 13 seconds left. Like, that's kind of been there. You watch today. It's not like we just didn't have enough talent or we're not. We don't have enough good players. Like, no, it's like specific coaching things now has been the Bills' downfall. And in this sport, this isn't baseball where you can blame the GMs because they're setting the lineup. This isn't basketball where the star player can do whatever he wants. Like in football, the head coach, there's a reason they get so much money and so much praise because they do control so much.
Yeah. And adding to that, the Bills' inability to win trophies, even though they've been to several Super Bowls, it just mounts. It just adds an enormous amount of weight on the franchise that you're going to get. For as much as Josh Allen takes a beating, you probably have 4 more premier years and then 4 more good years. He won't age like Cam because I think I think mechanically, I think he's more coachable. I mean, he does mechanically get off the reservation, but he gets pulled back in. He's clearly a coachable kid. He's into the right stuff. But you probably only have 4 great years left of just like pure, and then all of a sudden, it's like Travis Kelce says, then you're on your 4th surgery, your 2nd ankle surgery, your 3rd shoulder surgery. So,
but even today, there was a moment late in that game.
Oh yeah, he got hurt.
He had to go to the tent and Trubisky, and they basically wasted a play on a run.
Yep.
Where I'm sure that they would have passed it with him because they were in the red zone, and he takes a lot of shots. Now he is physically he's like a LeBron Giannis type of the NFL, right? There aren't many back to Cam, back to Roethlisberger, but look at those guys. And I do think Josh is a pretty special player. Today was pretty bad. They're not going to win with their quarterback going 9-30. They got no chance against the Texans or just a random NFL team.